So welcome to everyone who's joined for the webinar, and I'm sure there'll be some more people who will come in. But let's be cognizant of the fact that there have been people who've come on time and before time, so we'll start with it. Let me quickly introduce Dr. Sai Kavitha, who's the presenter for today's webinar. Dr. Sai Kavitha is a results-oriented business leader with the ability to balance strategic decisions, blending with financial discipline. She has a solid track record in the information technology world with 24 plus years of experience. Her hands-on leadership approach has resulted in strong employee engagement, increased customer relationships, and upward management. A really inspirational person to know and to work with. She is a DNI practitioner, DNI standing for Diversity and Inclusion. She is a speaker on various leadership topics and has also led the women's group at Dell India. So when I was talking with Dr. Sai Kavitha, there were many topics that we thought we could do webinars on and workshops on for the Inc. community. But we thought, let's start with this one, which is very, very essential. It's called Essentials of Self-Discipline. And while all of us may think that we are disciplined in some way or the other, I'm sure we can always improve on that aspect and get more out of life. So I will now hand it over to Dr. Sai Kavitha. A few do's and don'ts for the webinar. We would request everyone to keep their video and audio off because it's kind of best use of the bandwidth, as well as we'll have a quiet time listening to Dr. Sai Kavitha. And obviously, if you have a question or any intervention that you would like to, please raise your hand or put up your question or comment in the chat window, and we will unmute you and allow you to have a chat. And at the end of the presentation will be a Q&A time, when once again we will request the person who has something to ask to put up their hand, and we'll unmute you and you can ask the question and it will get answered. So over to you, Dr. Sai Kavitha.
Thank you so much, Nirja, and this is a great opportunity to be here. I welcome all the participants who are on this call today, and that itself is a great effort to be leveraging this opportunity. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Inker and Jobs for Her platform. It's an excellent platform, and I would love everyone to leverage and look at what we can draw out of this both ways. Like, I am drawing a lot of learning from each one of you, and you're drawing learning. I think it's very mutual. And thanks, Inker and Jobs for Her, and special gratitude to Nirja and the team that's making this happen. With that, I would like to get started on this topic, Essentials of Self-Discipline. I think this is a topic that always, I think, how relevant it is, and all of us talk about it. And, there are few who have made efforts, and there are few who have made efforts and, halfway stop. And, we are looking at how we can really look at it. So what I would like to bring to focus here is look at what are some of the things that's helped me. I wouldn't call myself an expert on this topic, but what I would like to share is definitely I'm a practitioner of this particular topic that's very close to my heart, because it's really helped me in my entire career, both personal as well as professional, from a career front. And I believe every one of us should look at self-discipline. And what I would like to touch upon here are some of the very, very basic aspects. What I really loved when I was engaging with Nirja is I already got a set of questions and expectations, thoughts, initial impressions the moment they heard this topic. I think those are extremely valuable. And I would definitely touch upon that slide before we actually enter. So with that, what I would like to do is a transition to the next slide. Of course, there are a lot of definitions for self-discipline, and self-discipline today is also showing up as a motivational piece of art that is being done. And I was visiting one of my friend's home, and I saw at the door they had a big board, a nice little piece of art written self-discipline. So out of curiosity, I asked her, why have you made this a board and put it in? She said, because I can't practice. I look at this board every day And I thought, wow, that's a great thing. So that sort of inspired me when I was doing this session. Let me have a simple definition of what self-discipline is all about and what dictionary says about it and what we as individuals we are practicing and looking at it. So typically I let you read this, and what I would like to do is look at the chat window and see if you can drop in a chat on what you think is your version of self-discipline. So I'll give you 10 seconds. So whatever comes to your mind, please go ahead and put it on the chat window. While you're trying to type, if you're finding it hard time, no worries. So I'd like to see the definition, self-discipline, in terms of the ability to control yourself or make yourself work in such a way that nobody comes and tells you what you need to do or how you need to do. That definitely is, a definition that I really like the best. So I captured. I love this. Very good. Excellent. Keep it going. Great. Utilization of your real capacity and capability to make a positive difference to every day being made fruitful. Excellent. Good. Excellent. Thank you. Let's get to what is it that I received. A compilation of efforts and questions from you all. Let me remove the chat window for a moment here. So these are some of the expectations and questions. I really love this engagement in terms of trying to prepare yourself. That itself is a one step ahead in terms of the discipline and then trying to work on this session. So looking at these expectations and questions, I would like to definitely share. I'll do my best to address some of these, or some of this it resonates with you, and especially how to enhance myself, or how this webinar is going to help restart my career. I think what's most important is the fact that you made a decision to restart your career. That's already you are in the path of absorbing and walking in the road that's going to make a huge difference on self-discipline, and you already made that decision. And confidence, motivation, absolutely yes, I would love to be part of getting motivated and motivate. So my hope in this session is sometimes the career journey of other people or the personal journey of another individual turns out to be very inspiring, and this platform, Incur platform itself, is very inspiring to me. And when I see these expectations and questions, let me do my best to see what I can address. And typically, I do see there were a lot of questions on parenting and returning mothers back to career. Very, very significant and very positive. So definitely, I'll share some of my own personal journey, which could probably help you. And let's look more into it. With that, I would like to get started on the session. So I somehow like this, quote a lot, largely which says, all success begins with self-discipline and it starts with you. So absolutely, this quote resonates with all of us who really want to make a difference being part of the session and would like to look at how we can go from here. Somewhere this quote resonates really well, and that's why I thought I'll share this with you. So what do I have for you today? So I'll allow a couple of minutes to go through, a couple of seconds to go through this. Definitely, there's a lot of debate when you look out or when you're doing your own research that is self-discipline a science or is it an art? Is self-discipline a life? For me, what it is, it's a life skill to me. So self-discipline, just do it. Looking at how this leads to success. A lot of questions around when and how do I start, and conclusion tips. And then I also have some framework and some of the PDF from my library that I would like to share, which probably could help you and motivate you. So going with the debate, as I look at last 15 to 16 years is when I would like to share that I've been practicing, and a lot of things that with a repetitive model, you tend to institutionalize it, and when you institutionalize it, you see the benefits of what it is doing to you. So I would say last 15 years has been very progressive in terms of, even giving this session. I'm able to do it largely because of my effort, both on my personal journey and on my professional journey. So when you look at it, and when I was looking back and sharing my thoughts, there is a lot of science, there is a lot of art. So I said, okay, let me call out few science part of it, few art part of it, and when you bring them together, that's when you see beautifully how the science and the art blends together and gives you certain line of thinking on how and where you need to take it, right? So with that, let's get into seeing what's my perspective. And once again, I would like to reiterate here that it's purely my perspective in terms of what you're seeing. There are a lot of things out there, more than 48 to 126 steps of why self-discipline is a science. There are universities that are doing a lot of research on what self-discipline is, why is it a science, what are some of the theory behind it. But what I would like to share here is largely in terms of what I look at it as science and what are some of the aspects that I believe as science, right? So typically, if I have to ask each one of you, what is science? You look at science as logic, you look at science as something practical, you look at science as something that is doable, or a systemic approach. You can say physics, or you can say biology and things like that, where you have a lot of elements of science. And when you look deep into it, it's largely logic. When your grandmom says something, what would you say? There's no logic. Then you apply science and you see there is some logic to what they are saying and what they are practicing, right? So sometimes it happens that science becomes a lot more logical to the current generation, when in past there were a lot of things that we followed without logic, understanding of the logic, because your grandparents asked you to do it and you just did it. So if you look at how I applied science and what I believe as science, it's a lot of minimalism effect. And I think I would look at the word minimalism coming from my profession of writing, where a lot of minimalistic approach is being utilized, and we say reduce the number of words, reduce the number of sentences. So typically, looking at science and self-discipline, I would say the confusion for all of us starts when we have 50 to 100 things that we want to do, and then we don't know where to start and what needs to be done. And science says anything that is 3 steps, 3 goals, less than 3, it's easy to achieve and you can focus better. So I would say restrict the number of goals that you intend to have to 3. In my personal life and professional life, I've seen a goal that is going up to 3 has really worked well. And, I would like to definitely share largely out of my experience, a goal that you're planning, restrict it to 2 or 3, or to start with, you can even start with just 1. So here is what I would like to again invite you on chat. I would like to talk a little on distraction, and distraction is not new to us. So when I say distraction and minimize distraction, I would like to hear from you. What comes to your mind with the word distraction? Great. Yes, that's very true. Unwarranted thoughts. Thoughts are very free. That's typo, I get it. Overthinking. Yes, I think that's very true. Disruption, YouTube videos, anything that interrupts our activity. Great. This is really a great set of participants. Thank you. Great. So getting back. Yes. So distraction can be anything. For example, from a professional point of view, on a given day, as returning individuals returning back to work, and you have an opportunity to work from home. So there the distraction is you have a vendor knocking at your door, or you have a doorbell ringing, or you have visitors coming in, or your support staff at home coming in. So you may want to plan all of that and see how you can minimize your distraction. So, greatest distraction is your phone. And I think, having phone, even if there is no message, the habit of keep looking at the phone and waiting for a WhatsApp message or something to keep coming in, I think those also go really well with distraction. So look at those aspects. Train your mind. You can train your mind scientifically. I believe training your mind is purely science. You can train it really well. And if you're an individual who practices meditation, or if you're an individual who's looking at exercise to bring in more focus, you can go ahead and do that. Or you listen to music, or you have a hobby, you're a painter, you are a dancer, you are doing a lot of different kind of passion, or whatever is close to your heart. If that helps get, calm your mind, and then say, okay, here is where I need to focus, just do it. So very important, while you are working on minimalism effect, look at how you are training your mind. And to train the mind, you don't need anything special. You just need your willpower to train your mind and focus in terms of, okay, I have this many distractions. Over a period of time, I will sort of look at how I can reduce it. If you say, I want to detoxify mobile for 2 hours in a day, absolutely, that's a great goal to have, right? Another thing I would like to also say, where science has played an important role, is procrastination. I would say most of us, knowingly or unknowingly, if we have to do something, we'll say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later, and sometimes we forget. And that procrastination really, is not really the great thing to have. So if any of us have that habit, or all of us as human, we have certain habits, see how you can work towards removing procrastination. That really gives you a very solid boosting if you are taking self-discipline very seriously. Time management, I would not say everybody is master of how to manage time, but over a period of time, what I would like to clearly call out is time management is very, very essential. Right from ensuring that you have your me time, you have time for your kids, you have time for your family, social events, functions, whatever you have on your personal front, to at a work schedule, looking at how well you are managing your schedules becomes extremely crucial. And that is definitely a science. That's why I have called it out here. And then what's even more important is set up a daily routine. There are situations where you are traveling and you think it can't work, but definitely it will work. So what's very critical is look at minimizing your goals and don't overwhelm yourself, because that's definitely very important. And then never procrastinate and start training your mind. If you're not trained, it's not too late. You can start training even now, and that will help bring a lot of focus. And time management is very, very critical, irrespective of the kind of role you play, be it a mother, be it a sister, a friend, a spouse, on a personal side, and on the office side or a professional line. You are working as a dancer, you're working as a choreographer, you're working in the software industry, irrespective of where you are in your career, ensure time management is something that you start building in. You want to use calendar, you want to use anything, that's fine, but then make sure tools is secondary, but primary is make up your mind to get into it. And what I would like to give you a takeaway on this slide is self-discipline is largely what you learn to practice. And once you practice, you repeat. And once you repeat, that becomes a process, and it comes back to what you can do better. So with that, I would like to transition from science to art. Art is beautiful. All of us are gifted, and all of us have a form of art within ourselves. But it also depends on how and where you're applying the art. And another interesting aspect is how you are applying it in the context of our topic today, which is self-discipline. And please note, every slide, I'm using the word self-discipline multiple times. And by the end of this session, I'll tell you why. If I don't, remind me. Okay? So how do we cultivate the art of self-discipline? Number one, own accountability. It's very, very critical. If something doesn't work well, it's okay, just own it. Or if you're in a professional, or if you're in a career and one of your team members is not able to deliver what you wanted, and you had a dependency and things fail, it's okay, just own the accountability that yes, you are responsible for the larger delivery, it didn't work. And instead of saying it didn't happen because of me, but you are part of it, so learn to own accountability. And owning accountability helps create a platform where you can actually make things put together and bring it together, be it on the professional or be it on the personal side. It's very, very important. And owning accountability is an art. You can own it in a harsh way. You can own it in a soft way. You can own accountability by saying, okay, this didn't go well. Here are the reasons. Okay, now I understand, but still I'm responsible. That accountability plays a very key, I would say, aspect in building yourself to self-discipline. The next important thing, I did not call out planning in science. I call planning is an art. Be it you're taking your family out for a picnic, you're planning there, or in your professional life, you want to plan for a visit, or you're working on a certain, coding aspect or whatever. It's very important. When I say plan, only couple of things come to my mind. Having a set of goals, that's great, but do you really know what each goal means to you? What that means is you need to have a lot of clarity in your goals. And once you have clarity, then you build that ability to actually finalize your goals. That's very important. And planning, let me just share with you from my personal experience, it's definitely an art. And once you have a plan in place, look at how you commit to your goals. No goal is complete without saying, okay, here is the set of goals and here is my commitment I really want to do and deliver. So that commitment is again an art. People, it's not, I call it an art because it's not a resolution or science, because when the new year is approaching, you have lots of people saying, I have a new year resolution, I'm going to hit the gym. Now, how many of them really hit the gym and do what is required? And after New Year, 10 days, they're back. They're not able to commit. Why? Because they didn't really put their plan in place, and you don't need a New Year resolution to do a gym or to plan for something, right? So very important, when you own accountability, you start, looking at, how do I plan? When you plan your set of goals, you have clarity. When you have clarity and you look at, now if I'm accountable for my goals, how do I commit? So you need to make that commitment and make a plunge that, yes, I'm doing it. When you commit, that's when your first step starts, which is you are investing in making small changes that could shape up a larger picture. It could be on your personal front or professional front. You are making that beginning, right? So that's very critical, investing. And then another important aspect is, when I say motivation, all of us wait for somebody to come and motivate you. Nobody has the time to come and motivate. You need to be self-motivated. You need to look at what inspires you. Looking at your garden, what you beautifully built, does that inspire you? Looking at the greenery, does that inspire you? For a lot of people, traffic creates a frustration. Why don't you fall in love with traffic? You can't do anything for the traffic. So you need to look at how you can make that also inspire you. There are painters who have beautifully painted traffic, and that inspires them, right? So look at what motivates you. Look at what inspires you. Nobody can come and motivate you. You are your best inspiration. You are your best motivator. So go get that. And if you are looking for somebody to come and motivate you, if you're lucky, you may have that person, or just look at around you and you will see tens of things that really motivates you. Or read stories. If you're an avid reader or you love reading biographies or whatever, just go look at it. Otherwise, I do know there are a lot of websites that gives you great quotes. Just pick up a quote that really motivates you. Once you've done this, again, that's an art. Reading is also an art. Motivation is an art. That's the reason you see this here. You start designing your routine. It's very important that you design your routine. And when I say routine is something that you would like to do day after day. And routine also is you wake up with the will to do that in your day. So that's very important. And why do I say design your routine? Because it's an art. How you design your routine is an art. All the time we are rushing to get our children ready to school, rushing to, take your metro or bus or your own transport. We are always rushing. So a little bit step back and see what is it that is going wrong in my routine that I'm rushing all the time. Can I pause? Can I look at what are those factors that can be sort of contained, the obstacles removed to sort of look at my routine. How can I design? So try designing your routine. And one time you're trying, it's not working, again continue to try. And when you design your routine, ensure you are consistent. Anything that you do, your consistency is very critical. Without consistency, whatever you have designed, planned, committed doesn't really work. Because consistency to me personally is key to success. And try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. That's very important. And this has worked for me. I'm sure it'll work for you. And we all think that small failure is going to put you down. Never let that happen. Look at it as a stepping stone to do something better, something with more confidence, something that you need to look at how I can take this further. So that's very important. That's why I call it as try and fail. And also learn to reward yourself. Half the time we don't reward ourselves. We always think, okay, we are doing good. You want somebody to come and appreciate you? You want somebody to come and say you're doing great? No, you know you are doing good. You reward yourself. Whatever your reward mechanism is, whatever you want to do, go do it. Ensure you don't financially go overdo things and do shopping because you're rewarding yourself. That's not what I meant. What I meant was reward with, okay, I've done this. Next, what do I do? Okay, I've got the required results. I go next and do that, right? So to me, again, I would like to give you a takeaway. Self-discipline arises out of a passion. And when you add a little bit of inspiration and creativity, your self-discipline starts getting built. So with that, let me transition to the next slide. This is something I would like to share because I did see a lot of expectations around how has been in your case study that you can share some of your experiences. Definitely, I would like to share my experiences, and there are a lot of things, so I tried to put them together. I can't trace my entire journey, but I can definitely share some of the key callouts, some of the things that I have as a single mom and a mom to a special needs son. He's 19. At different phases on my personal life, I had different kind of, I would say, therapy. All of that were very high focused. So to me, I always, when I think why me, I always look at, okay, God gave me everything in abundance. He gave me happiness 3 times. He gave me challenges 3 times. He gave me pain 3 times. And he said, okay, this is what it is, go manage, right? So in those stages, what really is very important is there is a very, very high focus on therapy for my son. And I also need to have a job, a very, very focused effort in my career. I had to carve, design, and build a career to be successful because that would give me the required finances to go back and invest in my son's therapy, because none of the therapies, especially in the spectrum of autism, comes for free. And since it's not really well understood, there is always a struggle there. So it's very important, discipline. That's why I said last 15 to 16 years, it's played a very critical role because there was always a struggle. How do I work this through? Managing the home, therapy for my son, then a full-fledged career. How did I put them all together? So very important, I understood that, okay, here is a categorization on my personal needs. This is what my son needs, and how do I work that through? Let me share with you, Monday through Friday, I never entertain any guests at home, largely because after I'm back from work, I have a lot of conference calls. I have the therapist at home because I couldn't take my son to all the therapy centers. So I had invested in having therapists come home. Even today, that is the practice. So Monday through Friday, I made a very strict, discipline in terms of how do I bring in more self-discipline to make sure I don't have distractions in the form of people visiting me or somebody dropping by without a prior notice, because either I'll be on a call or I'll be working with my therapist for my son. And I had the right support from my family. Very blessed to have my mom stay with me. And I have a good support staff, very critical. And you have to balance your support staff, your cook or your maid, whoever is your success factor, ensure you have that as well. And then I looked at stopping all my functions or relatives or friends dropping in Monday to Friday. No grocery shopping. I made sure I have enough in my refrigerator to last for 5 days, largely because my day was pretty packed with everything, both on the professional and personal side. So it's very important you plan and you bring in several aspects of discipline out there. And next comes your profession, where there is a lot of literature on work-life balance, and no literature will help you unless you put in your focus and you are really bringing in the aspects of self-discipline to make it totally balanced. And there are always expectations from your management when you work. There is always a sense of urgency. You need to know how to prioritize. We struggle a lot there. Then there is a competition. So when I say professional competition, there are a lot of people around you and you are worked up half the time. Okay, this person is doing this person got a promo, I have taken a break, will I spring back the same way? Keep all that away and look at, I am the competition for myself. I am my only competitor. If I'm doing things well today, the next step I have to define where I want to go. How do I bridge the gap? Not another person sitting next to you who is your competitor. The competitor is within you. Can you look at that and then look at how you can work towards that? Organization politics is everywhere, and you have you have a lot more experience. Whenever you open a news channel, you have politics there. You open Republic, you have people screaming there. Different points of views are being shared, debates and everything. But look at it as another passing phase, something that you have to be part and accept it as part of your ecosystem and not get worked off by that. And then look at more positive on working on your strength, and your strength alone will deliver on your role charter and bring the right results. Whether somebody is watching you for results, they're not watching you, they are supervising, irrespective of all this, just focus on, yes, here is my role charter, here is what the organization needs, and I go over and above to deliver to the best of my strength to the organization that I'm part of. Okay, so that's all the professional life that I've adopted, and it's really worked for me. And more important to me, I always call myself a learner. Learning is the only thing that's constant in the changing ecosystem around you. And if you have to be successful, you need to learn. And learning comes from every individual around you. Your child is teaching you all the time. Your colleagues are teaching you all the time. Your parents are teaching you. You need to learn and invest a very focused effort. For example, I was in the content and technical writing. I wanted to move into big data and analytics. It didn't come free. I had to invest 2 to 3 years in learning about that skill, and then work towards an opportunity and said, okay, I want to be leading the worldwide supply chain analytics, and I did that. And then I had it that, okay, I really want to understand how a country head role works, and I need to learn a lot. And I'm a country head in my current role charter. And that doesn't come without preparation and learning. When you want to do certain roles, you need to invest and prepare. Same personally as well. You have to do a lot of investment to balance things out. So investing yourself, whether you spend 10 minutes learning or 30 minutes learning, irrespective of it, set aside and make that as a self-discipline, because learning is very critical. Keep reinvesting in re-engineering your skill set, because the skill set that are required today will help you to do the job today. But the skill sets that you need tomorrow, you need to start preparing for it as of yesterday, right? So you need to start looking and working towards it. So, and more important, books bring a lot of knowledge. If you are a reader, try to look at books that really helps you. Okay, so I'll pause here for a few seconds and move to the next slide. On this, if anybody has anything, you can ask me now, or we can wait to the QA session.
I think Vinita raised her hand.
Sure. Yes, Vinita.
Sorry, that was just by mistake.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. It's just that I was trying to do something and it just raised my hand. Sorry about that.
That's fine. All right. So let's move. As I transition, I did see a lot of, inputs and expectations on, when do I start self-discipline? There is no time for you to start. When do I look at it? How do I manage my emotions, self-control, and all those things start looking, a lot of thoughts come to your mind. What I believe is self-discipline is something you just do it. JDI, whatever you want to call it, just do it. And there is no right time and right place. You need to start today. You need to start now. And sessions like this is a great platform to exchange and look at what challenges we have to start this. I know the challenges, it's not easy as I shared. Self-control, managing emotions. For example, you are started on a journey to exercise. And the most important thing, everybody makes a resolution, I'm not going to eat sugar. And next moment they see is a nice little dessert sitting and inviting you. You just go grab and have. So it's difficult. It's not easy. Self-control is a very, very different, we can talk hours together, days together on self-control. How do you manage your emotions and all that? But to you, go back to the slide one where I said have minimal goals of 2 or 3 and look at the big picture, what you want to get and where you want to see yourself. That's when your self-control and managing emotions start coming together, right? So focus on the big picture. What is it that you would like to get out of this whole effort? And that's where you will have your answers. And again, this comes back. Start looking at how do I make things happen and what should I do to make it happen? Very important, do not wait for a right time and right place because there is nothing like a right time and right place. Whenever you want to start, you just start. Now is the time. That's what I would say based on my experience, right? I would like to also call out, again, purely from my experience, there is definitely a science and art to it. My experience says anything that's practiced for 21 days becomes a habit. A habit goes a long way in getting your self-discipline in place and also brings a lot of control, and you can manage your emotions really well. And you can try it and you can really see the results. It's proven because I looked at it, I practiced, and I definitely got it. Very important also is, I would call out manage, right? Manage, very critical, because what is very important and urgent, you need to manage. You can't say, I made 2 goals and now something urgent and important has come, it'll go into my next goal. No, that's not what it is. You look at your goals, you're managing, and you look at how you can rework and course correct. That's very critical to bring together. As you manage things, you look at the focus. What is short term? What is long term? You need to make those decisions by reflecting on what is it that I really need. And only when you make those decisions, you will be able to look at, okay, I am managing, I am able to focus. Most important, avoid distractions and then filter time-wasting activities. So you figure out what you want to manage, put it on one quadrant, put your focus on one quadrant, then below quadrants, avoid and filter. Make that as your foundation. Over that, start looking at managing and focusing. You'll be able to build what you need. And that is what I would say is self-discipline. Just do it and do it now. It's now or never. What you need for it? You need a set of goals. You need focus. You need self-control. Bring that in. Reduce distractions and filter unwanted, unproductive or non-productive activity. And with that, you will see a sure shot on just doing it. Just giving you a couple of seconds to absorb. Now, the next question, what I've seen is, how does self-discipline leads to success? It does. Just go look around you. All the successful people, they have definitely acquired the skill extremely well. And I would like to quote Brian Tracy, who says, success leaves proven tracks. Follow successful people. You don't have to reinvent or recreate. Add your style and signature, and you are there. And for that to happen, very important, self-discipline. Practicing self-discipline helps you understand what are my near-term goals, what are my long-term goals. right? You want to buy a Mercedes car, you want to buy a house. All that doesn't happen just by thinking about it. Work towards it. And if you have to work, you need to bring in a lot of self-discipline to make it happen. You need to bring a lot of focus. And that happens in a very stepped approach. And trust me, nothing happens overnight. It takes a lot of willpower, it takes a lot of self-control to practice self-discipline. And in the process of practicing, you will start looking at it. If you recall the word avoid and filter, you will see what are the actual obstacles and how do I overcome the obstacles by practicing what I need and put up as goals as part of my self-discipline efforts. You also need to look at what are those habits that help you take you to next level. And those habits are different in terms of what you're talking about is self-discipline, but then it needs to come together. Like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, you need to read that. That will help you. And if you have to bring each one habit into reality, you need to have a self-discipline around it. Let me just pause. I also saw a question, what's the difference between self-discipline and discipline? Discipline, I would like to say, if I could take it something very close, when you're sick and you go to the doctor gives a prescription. On the prescription, he writes a particular medicine, 101. And you make sure you take it in the morning. You make sure you take it in the night. And for 5 days, you're doing it. You do it well because you want to become fine. You want to, get over your fever or cold or cough. And you do it with such discipline. That is discipline. It's not self-discipline. Self-discipline is what you want to take yourself to the next level. Self-discipline is something that you say, okay, here is my goal. I want to, make sure I spend 30 minutes playing with my 2-year-old every single day. That is self-discipline because you want to spend the time, come what may, you are going to give the time to your child, right? So think of doctor's prescription, and if you think that's discipline, that's wrong. That's actually what happens because anything that comes with prescription cannot become a self-discipline. It's more you're doing it because you have to do it. Do it because you need to do it. You want to do it from your heart and you really know this is going to take you to success. So that's very critical. And you also, having a self-discipline over a period of time, it helps you accomplish more. It helps you become more productive. You know how to utilize your time. You exactly know when to say no and when to say yes. You're not going to absorb everything and say, yes, I'll do, yes, I'll do, yes, I'll do. Be it professional or personal, half the time we become unproductive when we say yes to 10 things and not achieve even a single output, right? So it'll help you, okay, this is what it is, this focus, if I do this, I'm able to achieve this. By saying no, I know for sure that person will understand or I help them understand this can be done or this cannot be done. And if you have all this, then slowly you will observe how well your confidence is building up. And it's very important for each one of us, our confidence level should never fall irrespective of the tough situations you are in. And let me give you my own example. My son was 9 months old when I had taken him to the doctor and the doctor said, he is autistic. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what autism was those days. And for 1 week, I just couldn't do anything. I was shattered. I didn't know how to react to it. I didn't know what to do. And my mom came and she said, you have 2 choices. One is you sit and cry all your life or you accept and see what you need to do. That's it. From that day, I never looked back. And, the level of confidence I built in myself to bring smile on my son every single day became my goal. And that's going really well. So you need to know that when you start looking at things and you start practicing on what you need to do to, in my situation, to help my child, I started achieving it in small steps, one by one. It sort of helped me build a very, very significant confidence that actually starts showing up even in my professional life. The level of confidence, what you apply, comes through self-discipline and through lot of learnings that comes along the way. And try to practice Zero procrastination. It's very important. Never procrastinate things that you know you have to do. Unless until it goes to a list where it's not important, you don't need to do it. And most important, I would like to say stop making excuses, because we'll end up making a lot of excuses. Nothing right or wrong about it. It's part of life. So look at these aspects, and when you start looking at these aspects, it starts helping you to go back and start what I call really you're working in the direction of self-discipline. And how do you prove that you're really practicing? Because you'll start seeing the success. It starts leading to success one by one. So another takeaway on the slide I would like to leave you with is it should be designed for your respective goals. Don't expect somebody to come and design it for you. You design it. Bring the science and art together, and more important, consistent effort with a daily routine, and that will definitely lead to success. And you will be doing this session one day for all of us. All right? To transition, here is a little framework that I put together, and a small little PDF file also. I'll share that with you. It's available for free on the net. That's something I follow because Brian Tracy is a person I look up to as one of the motivation speaker, as much as I get inspired by Yolanda Holder, who's a walking diva, as she's called. What I would like to do on the slide is when to start. That's a question a lot of folks have asked. Time is now. And right now, after the session, the fact that you're on the session is already shows that you've started. Start with 2 or 3 most important things that really you want to make a difference in your life. It could be the life of your family, your professional life, you're restarting your career, whatever it is, take just 2 or 3. Design a routine for that, what best works for you, and then find your motivation and make it as a repeatable model. And here is a workflow for you which will help you. The purpose, 2 or 3 clear goal. Finding motivation factor is very important. I can't find that for you. You need to find that. Commit with timeline. Do it on smaller things so that you can achieve bigger goals. Have a to-do list. Go to your good old paper and pen if that you enjoy, or go to your whiteboard, whatever you enjoy, and then actually ensure you're designing the actual steps of how to achieve it. Again, I repeat, set up a daily routine and ensure consistency. Consistency is the key to lead your self-discipline to success. Review regularly, course correct, because as you're reviewing, as you're going through it, there are times when you have to course correct it. Remove any filters or any form of distractions. It's very difficult, not as easy as I've written here, but by practice, it will come. You manage that and review and repeat. So a repeatable model is very critical in terms of institutionalizing it, looking at what the outcome is for you as an individual. Once that's working, institutionalize it. If you're done and dusted, go to your next goal. Okay? Another important takeaway on the slide I would like to add is patience, perseverance, very important. Willpower and determination. Sometimes we struggle with determination, we struggle with willpower, nothing to worry. Keep trying and it will help you build your foundation for self-discipline, and that eventually will lead to success. I thought I'll share something from my library, some of the books that I really like, that's helped me. I hope it helps you. On the left-hand side, you see a tool, Mind Map. If you go to the net, you have a lot of tools, software that helps you do it. But the most simplest way of mind map is take a paper and draw your mind map. Clearly segregate what your personal goals, professional goals, everything very clearly, and then start demarking what you need to do now, what you can do later. Study self-discipline and habits of highly successful people. That's helped me because I wish, 25 years ago when I started my career, there were platforms like Inker and coaching and mentoring platform that gave us some direction. Then I would not be, having these struggle. I would have had a lot more easier career. But, nothing goes waste. Today I'm here sharing. So what I really did those days was I looked at all the successful people around me, started looking at what is it that made them successful. If I didn't have a certain skill set, I started building into me. That's not called copying. It's called inheriting, acquiring the right things in life, and then bringing it back to life in your own way and signature. And gamification, try playing little games with your children on how you can practice self-discipline. You can do it with your mom, your child, your spouse, your friends, whatever. And gamification is a very powerful way of, sort of looking at how you can build and give life to this self-discipline. Design your card. What's your self-discipline card? Have that handy. You don't have to go flash it anywhere. It's for you. And then cultivate healthy eating habits, because that's another totally different topic. You can go, ask together on diet and wellness and all that, but that's not the intent. But eating also makes a lot of difference into your own thinking ability and how to bring a lot of things into focus. Practice your hobby, whatever you're passionate about, practice, and that's very, very important. And these are some of the very interesting books that is there in my library. I thought it'll help you. Brian Tracy, as I told you, I really follow, and there are a lot of great things that has motivated me. Doesn't have to necessarily motivate you, but you can definitely take a look at this. With that, I think I'm doing little overtime, so I'll leave it to the forum for questions. Over to you, Neerja.
Thank you. That was wonderful. While we all have probably done a few things to inculcate discipline and self-discipline, when I heard from you in terms of the challenges that you've gone through both personally, professionally, and how you overcome, and we see you such a calm and composed and accomplished person today, there's a lot that we can definitely do with ourselves also in our lives. And I for sure will definitely, work on my goal of exercising. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've been saying for so many years, but yeah, I think I've not made the 21-day habit yet. Okay, so I'll let people ask the questions. People can raise their hands and we'll unmute them. Is that Nalini? You said you will tell us why you use self-discipline was called out every slide. Can you elaborate? Gamification is a question from Sumana.
Sure. So gamification is a more where when we work with our team, there were times when people were not able to focus on certain activities and they were not able to do certain things. For example, compliance education in most of the organization is a very boring part of engagement. They really do it yes, no, and then they just say they've done it. So if you have to bring interest, you bring in an element of the game. You say, okay, let's play some game, show you some interactive videos, make it interactive. You answer a few questions, I'll ask you a few questions, and then make it look like a game where you are not alone, just looking at boring slides, but you are actually part of that whole engagement. And you have a game where you have some things you have to achieve, some things you have to give up, some things you have to work as a team. So that gamification, I looked and it really worked very well when I was trying to put this together for my son. I didn't know how to bring in a certain discipline, certain self-discipline habit into him. And I said, I have additional challenge because he doesn't understand what I'm saying. So I said, okay, let's play a game. Let's do things what you like. Here is a game. Here is where you and me are playing together. Let's achieve this. A simple example is he couldn't catch a ball because he was a 3-year-old child because of the autism spectrum. They have difficulties. So when I said, okay, let's catch and we both are going to play, he sort of started learning it. And he loved it. He said, let's play today. And in the process, he was actually learning to hold things, to catch things. So gamification is what I term in terms of whatever you would like to do. If you're not able to get it done right, and you're feeling it's boring activity, you bring in some element of fun and game and you can make it interesting. That's what is gamification.
Okay, I don't know the name of this person. I think the person is on a Moto G. So it says Moto G here. How to overcome negative thoughts when it's more stronger than positive thoughts?
All right. This is, I would say, very, very true. It happens in all of us because we are human beings. For example, if your child is coming late from the school, the first thing is Why is the child late? Good thoughts don't come. Lot of negative thoughts come. Did the child fall off the cycle? What happened? Those kind of thoughts come. So under such circumstances, what has really helped me is to start looking at positive things. Yes, my son is late because there was a traffic jam. My son is late because he got stuck in the school for an extracurricular activity. Or if you're at a workplace and you have a lot of negativity coming because you're not able to deliver to certain things, just remain calm and start looking at things in terms of, okay, here is a negativity. Instead of focusing on removing the negativity, focus on what is the next positive thing that's going to help you. Start just thinking on those lines. It's not as easy as I'm saying. It takes a little bit of practice, but trust me, it'll work. Bringing element of positivity in everything. For example, if somebody is humiliating you, don't just take it and just say, okay, I'm not able to handle. Instead, look at what is your purpose and ignore what that other person is saying. It could look very difficult, but trust me, it's going to work. If you look at what is your purpose, what goes on in your life, what you need to achieve, then you can take off the negative thought and bring it. Hope that helps.
The next question is from Sindhu. Can you please brief on filtration and avoiding aspects to keep in mind while building our self-discipline car?
Sure. So
Come in.
So when I say avoid, I am using also avoid some of the distractions. For example, if you're sitting in a certain, a presentation and you have people walking in and walking out, just look at how you can avoid. So choose a place where you can sit calm and you can make some efforts to stop those distractions. Or if you're studying something, for example, say you're doing your C programming and you are visiting your skills of C programming, and then you suddenly get a WhatsApp message. So instead of looking at that forward and things like that, just look at avoiding those. Next 30 minutes, I really want to study. So keep avoiding those distractions. Keep. And when I say filtering largely helps you when you remove unwanted and tasks that are really not going to help you. For example, if you have to do your on a personal experience, if you want to do your grocery shopping every single day, then that's not feasible if you have a busy schedule. Instead, look at printing it out every day and doing it once a week and going and picking up the right grocery. Or if you're in a professional life, filter out activities that is not helping you achieve a certain task. For example, if you are doing a coding work and you are realizing that while I'm doing coding, I'm multitasking, I'm reviewing, I'm doing other things, avoid all that, just focus on getting your logic right. Okay, so that will actually help you. So that's what is filtering, especially filtering. Really good.
Yeah, she's here downstairs.
And look at how you remove unwanted tasks that are not actually helping you on your time. So you can remove those filtering activities and you'll see how many minutes or hours you have got it back to yourself. So that you can apply it on time as well. So that's what I meant by filtering.
Thank you. I think we just crossed 1 o'clock. So it was a highly engaging 1 hour that we've spent on this topic. Some of the things I know we have heard of it. Maybe we have practiced it at some point in time. It has worked. Sometimes it's been very hard and we've given up. But the fact is that it does work if you keep at it. So there are a lot of takeaways. I was really impressed by, the summarization of every slide, in a few words, which talks about that particular takeaway. And I really request each of you to commit to yourselves that you have started on your journey of being self-disciplined about the 1 or 2 goals that you have in your life. I assume that will be correlating to the questions and expectations that you had from this webinar. So thank you for being such an interactive audience. Thank you, Dr. Sai Kavitha, for being with us today. And if you want to interact further, Dr. Sai Kavitha is on our mentor portal. You can always follow her in future if we have other workshops or webinars that we organize with her. You will automatically get an email if you follow her on the mentor page. obviously, you can also leave your comments on the event page for this webinar in terms of how you found it. And if there are any further questions, you can leave it there and we will find a way to get Dr. Sai Kavitha back.
Thank you so much. You all have a lovely day.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.